The science station was still under repair, but something had changed inside its walls. The damage was real, but so was the spirit of the people. Humans and Zorith were no longer working as separate teams. They had become one. Engineers walked side by side, fixing broken panels. Scientists shared notes and ideas. Soldiers from both species stood guard, but now their eyes were on the stars, not each other. Queen Shirala stood near the large glass window, her eyes watching the quiet space outside. She had seen war all her life, but this unity, was new. She had fought beside humans, trusted them, and now, for the first time, she felt a future where trust was stronger than fear. Captain Carter walked in quietly. The defense systems are almost fully repaired. We'll have better shield coverage in case something like this ever happens again. Shirala nodded. Good, but I hope we won't need them for a long time. Carter stood beside her. Scorched Circle is gone. Their ships are destroyed. Their leaders, either captured or lost. The Queen turned toward him. But their ideas still live in some minds. Some people hate change. They fear peace. They will wait and strike again. Then we'll face them, Carter said simply. Together. Shirala gave a soft smile. You humans are strange. You lose sleep, you fear nothing, and you always believe tomorrow can be better. It has to be, Carter said. That's how we survive. Back on Earth, the news spread fast. The battle at the science station was shared across every network. Videos of humans and Zorith working side by side reached millions. For the first time, people who had feared aliens now cheered for peace. They saw Zorith soldiers protecting human doctors. They saw Queen Shirala saving human engineers from a fire. They saw unity. On the Zoreth homeworld, there was silence at first. Many expected the Queen to blame the humans. But instead, she gave a powerful speech. I once believed power was in fear. I believed victory came from crushing others. But I was wrong, she said. Real power comes from choosing a better way. Real strength is helping others, not ruling them. She paused, then added, the humans destroyed our best warships in seconds. I froze that day, not because I was angry, but because I saw something. Stronger than weapons. I saw control, mercy, purpose. And now I see it in our people too. Cheers followed across the cities. Even those who doubted her began to think again. Maybe the future would not be ruled by war but by peace. Weeks later, a special event was held aboard the rebuilt science station. It was now called the Unity Post, a name chosen by both sides. The station had a new look. Its main hall was decorated with symbols from Earth and the Zorith Dominion. Blue and silver lights ran along the walls, and plants from both worlds grew in the center garden. Queen Shirala arrived wearing a simple robe with no crown. She had asked for no ceremony, no music. She wanted this moment to feel honest. Captain Carter, Lena Ortiz, and Maya Brooks waited at the front. Maya stepped forward with a smile. Queen Shirala, are you ready? I am, she said calmly. Maya handed her a small silver tablet. This is the agreement. Equal voice. Shared knowledge. Mutual protection. Kerala placed her hand on the screen and signed her name with a steady hand. Then she handed the tablet to Captain Carter. He signed next. The room clapped quietly. At first, then louder. From that moment on, humans and Zorith were no longer strangers. They were allies. After the ceremony, Lena walked with Shirala through the garden area. The plants were glowing softly and small birds from Earth fluttered above. This doesn't feel like a war zone anymore, Lena said. Kyrella looked around. No, it feels like hope. Lena nodded. It's still strange, though. Just months ago, we didn't even speak to each other. Now look at us. The Queen's voice lowered. I feared you, not because you had weapons, but because you were different, and I didn't understand you. That's normal, Lena said gently, but fear should lead to learning, not hate. Shirala smiled. Wise words. Later that night, Carter stood on the deck once more, watching the stars. He heard footsteps and turned to see Shirala approaching. Could you sleep after the battle? She asked him. He chuckled. Humans can sleep even in chaos. It's one of our gifts. She looked at him with deep eyes. That's what scared me at first. Your ability to sleep after pain, after loss. What? I thought it meant you didn't care. But now I see. It's not that you forget, it's that you move forward. Carter nodded. We sleep not because we are careless, but because we believe there's a tomorrow worth waking up to. She said nothing, only smiled and looked at the stars. Then she whispered, "Thank you, Captain, for showing me that." As the two stood together in silence, the stars above shimmered. Two great empires, once strangers, once enemies, had now started a journey together. The galaxy had changed, and it all began with 6 destroyed warships, and a queen who stood frozen, only to later rise stronger than ever. In the far edge of the galaxy, the Zorith Dominion ruled with fear. Their queen Shirala was known across star systems as powerful and proud. Her word was law, and her army of warships was feared by all. No one had ever dared to stand against her until the humans arrived. Humans were new to the galactic stage. They didn't have large fleets or ancient knowledge, but they were bold and they were fast learners. Queen Shirala had heard of them, small, strange creatures from a blue planet called Earth. They had begun mining on a moon called Aurelia 6, a place rich in rare crystals. Those crystals were claimed by the Zorith long ago, but the humans didn't care. They built their station and began extracting resources. When Queen Shirala heard the news, she laughed. "Let them play," she said. "When I send my ships, they will understand who rules this galaxy." She ordered 6 elite Dreadnought's giant warships called Stormclaws to take control of Aurelia 6. These ships had never lost a battle. Their weapons were advanced, their armor strong, and their captains loyal. The Queen did not expect a fight. She expected surrender. Meanwhile, on the small human station orbiting Aurelia 6, things were quiet. Captain Alex Carter stood at the command center, staring at the stars. He was a calm and thoughtful man, not someone who rushed into war. With him was science officer Lena Ortiz, a brilliant woman who had studied alien technology for years. She was quiet but sharp. She always noticed things others missed. "Multiple large signals," Lena said suddenly. Her eyes stayed on the screen. "They just exited faster than light travel. 6 Zorith dreadnoughts, coming straight for us." Alex didn't panic. He had been trained for this. "How long until they arrive?" 3 minutes, Lena replied. "Weapons are hot." Alex opened a secure channel to Earth Command. "This is Carter at Aurelia 6. Zorith warships inbound. 6 confirmed. We are outmatched. Requesting permission to activate the prototype." DAC. On Earth, there was silence for a few seconds. Then came the reply. "Permission granted. Use the quantum lance." The quantum lance was a secret weapon. It wasn't a bomb or a laser. It was something new afold. In space, sharp like a blade, cutting through anything in its path. It had never been used in real battle. Alex turned to Lena. "Charge the lance. Set targets for ship cores. No miss allowed." Lena nodded. Her hands moved fast over the controls. Targets locked. Energy build up at 90%. Outside the station, the 6 Stormclaws arrived. They opened fire at once, sending waves of plasma and missiles toward the humans. The station's shields took the first hit. Lights flickered. The crew held their breath. "Firing lance," Lena said, in the vast dark of space. It happened. 6 beams of pure spacefold energy sliced through the void. The enemy ships didn't even have time to react. One beam cut a dreadnought straight in half. Another pierced a ship's core, causing it to explode in a silent flash of light. All 6 Zorith ships were hit with deadly precision. In just 9 seconds, it was over. The wrecks of once powerful dreadnoughts floated quietly in space. The battlefield was silent again. On her distant flagship, Queen Shirala watched through her royal command screen. She had expected to see her ships arrive and take control. Instead, she saw them fall, burning, breaking, gone. She didn't speak. She didn't move. She stood frozen, her golden robes still, her long silver hair shining under the lights of The throne chamber. Her advisors looked at her in shock. My queen, one whispered. They destroyed the entire elite fleet. In seconds, Jarella slowly sat down. Her hands were shaking, though she tried to hide it. Never in her life had she felt fear. But now, it crept into her heart. Back on Aurelia 6, Captain Carter ordered search teams to scan the wreckage. Some Zorith survivors were pulled from escape pods. They were scared and injured, but Carter treated them with care. Help them, he said. They may be our enemies, but they're still people. One young Zorith officer looked up at him with confused eyes. Why? Do you save us? Because it's the right thing to do, Carter answered simply. Lena stood beside him, watching. They expected us to destroy everything, she whispered. Ash! But we didn't. That may scare them even more than the weapon. In the days that followed, the galaxy began to whisper. Stories spread fast. The humans had taken down elite Zorith warships in 9 seconds. But more than that, they had shown mercy. They didn't crush the survivors. They helped them. On the Zorith homeworld, many called for revenge. The humans must pay, they shouted. They are dangerous. But Queen Shirala stayed quiet. In her private chamber, she watched the battle footage over and over again. The weapon was not loud. It was not wild. It was clean, quiet, perfect. And the humans who used it had shown restraint. She knew something was different, these humans. She said to herself, they are not like the others. I must see them for myself. And so, a new order was given. The Queen would travel to Aurelia 6. Not to attack, but to understand. Something inside her had changed. And the galaxy would never be the same. The silence in the Zorith throne chamber lasted longer than it ever had before. Queen Shirala sat in her chair, eyes fixed on the still image of the destroyed dreadnoughts. Around her, her commanders and ministers argued, but she barely heard them. They used a weapon we've never seen before. It's not just the weapon. They showed mercy. It's even more dangerous. We must strike again. Send the full fleet. No, Shirala said suddenly. The entire room went quiet. Everyone turned toward her. Her voice was calm, but there was something new in her tone. Doubt. I will go myself, she said. To meet this human captain? You, my queen? Said Minister Traylon, eyes wide. That's far too risky. I was not asking, Shirella replied. Prepare the imperial vow. I will speak to these humans face. If they are our enemy, I must understand them. If they are not, must still know. The imperial vow was the largest ship in the Zorith fleet. It was not just a warship, it was a symbol. Wherever it appeared, people bowed in fear or respect. It took only hours for it to prepare for departure. As it rose into space, its silver hull shone under the twin suns of the Zorith homeworld. The queen stood at the front window, her hands folded behind her back, her mind filled with questions. On the human station, orbiting Aurelia 6. The crew repaired damage from the earlier attack. Life support systems were back online. Medical teams still worked on the Zorith survivors. Captain Alex Carter stood at the viewing deck, looking out at the stars. His mind was not calm. He'd won the battle. Yes, but he knew the real test was coming. Lena Ortiz joined him. Incoming signal, she said. Another Zorith ship. It's huge. Bigger than anything I've ever seen. Alex narrowed his eyes. It must be their queen. She wants to meet, Lena said. In person. Alex didn't answer right away. Then he nodded. Tell Earth Command. Prepare a diplomatic team. But keep our defenses ready. Soon, a meeting location was chosen. And old neutral space station built decades ago by traders. It was empty now, floating quietly between Aurelia 6 and the Zorith flagship. Both sides agreed to strict rules. No weapons. No tricks. Just talks. Queen Shirala arrived with 2 personal guards. She wore a long, dark robe with silver lines down the front. Her crown was thin but sharp, shaped like the wings of a bird. Expression was calm, but her eyes missed nothing. Captain Carter, Lena Ortiz, and diplomat Maya Brooks waited inside the meeting room. Maya stepped forward first and spoke gently. "Welcome, Your Majesty. We are honored to meet you." Sharala nodded once. "I came to speak with the one who commands the weapon." "That would be me," Alex said, stepping forward. "Don't command it alone. We make decisions as a team." The Queen looked at Lena, then at Maya. "Strange. You show unity. No single ruler. That's how we work," Maya said. "No queen, no emperor, just people working together." Sat down slowly at the long table. "You destroyed 6 of my strongest warships in less than 10 seconds. I need to know how." Alex paused. "We use something called the quantum lance. It folds space, targets weak points in real time. We didn't build it to conquer. Anyone? It's a defense tool." The Queen raised an eyebrow. "And yet you used it to destroy." "Yes," Alex said firmly. "Because we had no other choice. Your ships fired first." Lena leaned forward.
Yes.
"But we didn't fire on escape. Pods. We saved survivors. We didn't want war." Sharala stared at her. "Mercy, in the middle of a battle," Lena nodded. "It's part of who we are." There was a long silence. Then the Queen said something unexpected. "One of my soldiers, young injured, told me he was saved by a human who gave him water. He thought it was a trick. But the human smiled and said, 'You're safe now.'" Alex looked at her carefully. "That was one of our medics." Sharala sat back in her chair. "I have ruled for many years. I have crushed rebellions, taken planets, and silenced enemies. But in all that time, I have never met a people like yours. You are strange." Maya smiled slightly. "We get that a lot." The Queen turned to her guards. "Leave us," she said. They hesitated. "My Queen, leave," she repeated. They stepped out. Now it was just the 4 of them. Sharala leaned in, her voice lower. "If I return to my world with stories of defeat, many will call for revenge. But if I return with understanding, there may be a chance for peace. Tell me, humans, do you seek to rule this galaxy?" Alex shook his head. "No, we seek to live in it, that's all." Kerala looked down at her hands. Her fingers trembled slightly. "You fear nothing. You destroy without hate. You show kindness without weakness. I came to crush you. But now I don't know if I can." "You don't have to," Maya said. "This can be the start of something new, a better future." Sharala stood up slowly. She looked out the window at the stars. "Then we must end this war before it begins." Alex nodded. "We agree." The Queen turned to face him. "Then prepare your people. I will return in one day. We will talk again with our councils. And maybe, just maybe, this galaxy will change." As she walked away, Lena whispered, "She's not what I expected." Alex replied, "Neither are we." Queen Sharala returned to her ship, the Imperial Vow, without saying a word to anyone. She walked slowly to her private chamber and sat alone by the wide glass window that looked out into space. Her mind was full of questions. The humans were not like the other species she had conquered. They had power, but they didn't use it to destroy. They had strange emotions, kindness, calmness, even humor in the middle of war. It made her uneasy. She remembered the face of Captain Carter. He spoke without fear, but also without pride. She remembered the quiet strength in Lena Ortiz and the calm voice of the diplomat Maya Brooks. None of them bowed to her, yet none of them insulted her either. It was as if they didn't believe in fear. The next day, a formal meeting was held between human and Zorith leaders. It took place on a larger diplomatic ship, surrounded by peaceful escort vessels from both sides. No weapons were allowed inside. It was a time for words, not war. Captain Carter and Maya Brooks led the human side. Queen Sharala arrived with her senior advisors, dressed in ceremonial robes. Her face was calm, but her mind was sharp. She had one goal to understand. As the talks began, Maya stood up and spoke first. "We are here not as enemies, but as possible allies. We believe this galaxy has space for both our people. But peace only works if we listen to each other. Of the Zorith commanders, Admiral Draxel spoke coldly.
Out.
You destroyed 6 of our ships. Captain Carter replied, your ships fired first. We defended ourselves, but we saved your people. Could have let them die, but we didn't. That matters. Queen Shirella raised her hand, and the room fell silent. I have seen the truth with my own eyes. Humans do not wish to conquer. They want to live. That is not weakness. That is purpose. Some of her own council members were shocked by her words, but they said nothing. Then, something unexpected happened. A message came through on a secure channel. A technician whispered into the Queen's ear. Her face darkened. What is it? Asked Carter. The Queen stood up. Trouble. One of my admirals, Verkesh, has betrayed me. He has taken a prototype weapon, something called the Star Reader Cannon. It's capable of destroying a planet in one shot. Everyone in the room went quiet. Maya asked carefully, what does he plan to do with it? He wants to fire it at Aurelia 6, Shirella said.
Oh, sorry.
To erase this place, to erase the shame. Of our defeat, Captain Carter's jaw tightened, and we don't have much time. I agree, the Queen said. Verkesh is a warlord. He will not listen to reason, but I believe. If we act together, we can stop him. Lena Ortiz stepped forward. You mean you and us? Working together? Yes, Shirella said simply. If you trust me. Alex looked at Maya, then at Lena. Slowly he nodded. Let's stop him.
Not together.
Not together.
The Star Eater cannon was hidden on a large rogue ship near a dead moon. Oh. It was heavily guarded and already charging its main energy source. The Zorith traders had taken full control. Their goal was clear fire, the weapon at Aurelia 6. Destroy the humans. And blame it on the Queen's failed peace. On board the Imperial Vow. The plan was set. We can't face that weapon head-on, Lena said, pointing at the hologram. But if we send a stealth team through the blind side of the moon, we might reach the control room. Alex raised a hand. I'll lead the human side. I'll join you, said Shirella. My guards turned to her in shock. My queen, that's too dangerous. She shook her head. If I let others risk their lives while I stay safe, then I am not worthy to lead. This is my mistake. I will fix it. A mixed team of humans and Zorith loyalists entered a small stealth shuttle and began their approach. As they moved through the shadows of the moon, the cannon grew larger in view. It looked like a long black arm reaching into the stars. Inside the enemy ship, Verkesh prepared the cannon's firing sequence. His officers moved fast, unaware that anyone was coming. The stealth shuttle landed without being seen. The team moved through narrow tunnels, passing guards and locked doors. They worked together, Zorith, using their access codes, humans using hacking tools. Slowly they reached the control center. Alex whispered, we breach in 5 seconds. Shirella nodded. I'm ready. They rushed in. Lasers fired. Alarms blared. One human soldier was hit, but the team pushed forward. Carter reached the cannon's main console and pulled the override cable. Sparks flew. The weapon stopped charging. Verkesh appeared at the far end of the room, roaring in rage. He fired at Shirella, but she dodged and struck back with her energy. Blade. The two fought fiercely, but the Queen moved with skill and precision. In seconds, Verkesh was disarmed and on the floor. You have failed, Shirella said, breathing hard. Not just me, but the future. Verkesh was taken into custody. The weapon was destroyed from the inside. The mission had succeeded. Later on the bridge of the Imperial Vow, the Queen stood beside Carter. You risked your life for my people, she said. Even when you didn't have to. We all did, Alex replied. That's what makes peace real. Shared risks. She looked at him and smiled faintly. You humans, you change things. And so can you, he said. The stars were quiet again. The danger of the Star Eater cannon had passed, and the traitor Admiral Verkesh was now locked deep inside a prison cell aboard the Imperial Vow. But peace was not something that could be won in one day. Queen Shirella and Captain Carter both knew that. The Queen sat in her private chamber, watching a recording of the battle. She saw herself fighting beside the human captain, both of them working together like allies, not enemies. It felt strange. Not long ago, she had seen humans as weak, small, and unimportant. Now, she was seeing something else. Loyalty, honor, courage. She had expected to be feared. But Carter had not feared her. He had treated her like an equal. That was something new in her long reign. A quiet knock came at the door. "Enter," she said. Lena Ortiz walked in, carrying a small data pad. She bowed slightly. "Your Majesty, I have the damage reports. The cannon is fully destroyed. Our tech team made sure it can't be rebuilt." Shirala nodded. "And the traitors?" "Captured or gone," Lena said. "Some of your people helped us during the mission." I saw real bravery from both sides. The Queen looked at her with calm eyes. "You risked your life to save my world." "Why?" Lena shrugged lightly. "Because peace is better than war. We believe that if we help others, they might help us in return." Shirala looked away, thoughtful. "Strange. In the Dominion, we are taught that power is everything. But your people show power through restraint, kindness. I don't fully understand it." "You don't have to understand it yet," Lena said kindly. "Just believe it's real." On the human station above Aurelia 6, Captain Carter prepared for the final meeting. He had spoken with Earth Command, and they gave him full permission to negotiate with Queen Shirala. The hope was clear: build something new between humans and the Zorith Dominion. Diplomat Maya Brooks stood beside him. "This meeting will be the hardest one," she said. "Because now it's not about survival," Carter replied. "Now it's about trust." The Queen arrived shortly after, this time wearing a more formal and peaceful robe. She brought no guards, only her senior advisor and a young translator. Her face was calm, her steps slow and steady. They met in the same diplomatic room where words had first been exchanged. This time, the mood was different. There was no tension in the air, only curiosity. Maya began. "We are here to discuss a possible agreement. Trade, peace, maybe even joint missions. We want to work with the Dominion, not against it." Shirala looked directly at her. "What does Earth offer in return?" Alex Carter spoke. "We offer science, communication, protection if needed, and more importantly, respect. Your people have traditions. We won't break them. We just want to be part of this galaxy, not ruled by it." Shirella folded her hands. "My people do not forget quickly. Many still see you as a threat, even after saving them." "I understand," Carter said. "We don't expect you to change overnight, but this can be the first step." There was a long pause. Then the Queen reached into her robe and placed a small crystal cube on the table. It glowed faintly, pulsing with energy. "This," she said, "is a royal seal of cooperation. I give it to those I trust." Carter looked at it carefully. "Then this means—" "It means I am willing to try," Shirella said. "This galaxy is changing, and I must change with it." Maya smiled. "That's all we hoped for." Later that night, as the ships floated quietly near the stars, Carter stood alone at the observation deck. The stars looked peaceful again, as if nothing had happened, but he knew better. Everything had changed. Queen Shirala joined him, her footsteps soft. "I once believed fear was the best way to lead," she said. "But fear breaks things. It does not build. And now?" Carter asked. "Now I want to build," she replied. They stood in silence for a while, just looking out. Then Shirella said, "Tell me something. How did your people survive so many enemies without becoming cruel?" Alex took a moment to answer. "Because we've suffered too. We know what loss feels like. That's why we try to be better, even when it's hard." She nodded slowly. "You are not what I expected, Captain, and neither are you, Your Majesty." The next morning, the first official Human-Zorith alliance was announced. It began small shared research, open communication, peaceful cooperation. But it was a sign of something greater. Many across the galaxy were surprised. Some were confused, but others were hopeful. In schools, children learned the story of the 9-second battle, where 6 mighty warships were destroyed but no full war followed. Dead, something rare happened. An enemy became a friend. And somewhere in space, Queen Shirala smiled for the first time in years, not because of power, but because of peace. Weeks passed quietly after the peace agreement between humans and the Zorith Dominion. The stars remained calm, and no ships were destroyed. For the first time in many years, both sides began working together instead of pointing weapons at each other. On the human side, news stations opened lines of communication with Zorith ships. Scientists exchanged data. Small cargo vessels carried supplies between worlds. A feeling of hope began to spread. But peace is never easy. Far away on a forgotten moon called Vetranine, something dangerous was growing. A hidden group of old Zorith warlords, angry with Queen Shirala's decision, had gathered in secret. They were called the Scorched Circle. They believed peace with humans was a weakness. "Our queen has forgotten who we are," one warlord growled. His name was General Kalmer, but we have not. The Scorched Circle had old weapons, old ships, and old hate. And now they had a new plant to attack the first human Zorith Science Center, which had just been built in orbit around a peaceful gas giant. The station was small, filled with scientists, human engineers, and Zorith researchers working side by side. General Kalmer's fleet moved without warning. Back at the Science Center, Lena Ortiz had just finished explaining a gravity experiment to a young Zorith student. The two smiled as a ball floated slowly in midair. "You understand fast," Lena said. The Zorith student, who had never spoken to a human before this program, replied, "Because you explain with patience, not orders." Bored before Lena could respond. The alarm sounded. Red lights flashed across the lab. She turned to the screen. Dozens of ships were approaching at high speed. "This isn't a test," she whispered. "It's a real attack." She opened a communication channel to Captain Carter, who was on a patrol ship near a nearby asteroid. "Alex," she said, "we have incoming, not pirates. Military-class warships." "I see them," Carter replied, his voice tense. "On my way. Hold the station. Don't let them separate the teams. Keep humans and Zorith together." Lena nodded. "Understood." Queen Shirala received the message aboard the Imperial Vow within minutes. She stared at the screen, reading the words, "Scorched Circle attacking joint station." Her advisors were already speaking. This was expected. "We warned you, my queen. Peace has failed." But Shirala raised her hand. "No," she said firmly. "Peace has not failed. It is being tested." She stood and gave her order. "Set course to the science station. We defend its side." By side with the humans, her guards nodded and rushed to carry out the command. In orbit near the station, the Scorched Circle opened fire. Their old but powerful weapons hit the outer sections of the facility. Explosions rocked the corridors. Humans and Zorith inside worked together to put out fires, protect the young, and defend the bridge. Lena ran through the smoke-filled hallway with 2 Zorith soldiers beside her. "We need to shut the bulkhead doors before the pressure drops." The Zorith soldiers helped a human technician stand up. "Come, hurry," he shouted. There was no time to ask who was from what world. They just helped each other. Outside, Carter's ship arrived and began firing at the enemy vessels. He was outnumbered, but he flew with precision and speed. Then came the Imperial Vow Massive, bright and unshaken. It moved between the science station and the attackers, blocking the path with its huge body. Queen Shirala appeared on the open channel. "This is your queen. I order you to stand down." But General Kalmer's voice replied, full of anger, "You are no queen of ours. You bow to the humans, and you are no Zorith." Shirala answered calmly, "You are just fear in armor." Scorched Circle refused to back down, and so the battle began. The sky lit up with laser fire and explosions. Kyrella's royal guards flew fighter ships beside human pilots. Carter led a small squad to destroy the enemy's missile cruisers. Lena stayed inside the station, guiding emergency teams and patching systems to keep life support working. It was chaos. But it was not hopeless. A moment came when Culmer's flagship tried to sneak past the Imperial vow to finish the station. But Carter predicted the move and intercepted the ship before it got close. Not this time, Carter said as he fired a full burst from the quantum lance. The enemy ship shook violently and lost power. Flames broke out across its engine deck. Inside his burning ship, Kalmar screamed in rage. But before he could issue one final attack, his console exploded. The scorched circle was finished. When the battle ended, the stars were quiet once more. Wreckage floated across space. Rescue teams moved quickly to find survivors. The science station was damaged, but still standing. Queen Shirala visited the station personally. She walked through the halls not as a ruler but as someone who had fought to protect this place. Lena met her at the airlock, covered in ash and sweat. "We kept the station alive," she said. Shirala placed a hand on her shoulder. "You did more than that. You kept the dream alive." Captain Carter arrived moments later. "We stopped them. Together." Kirella looked at him and said, "Now, I see clearly. Peace is not the end of battle.
How?
It is the reason we keep fighting." Carter smiled. "And it's worth fighting for." The three stood together, human, Zorith, and soldier of peace. Around them, the station began to light up. Again, power systems returning one by one.
How the galaxy had changed.
And now, nothing would ever go back to the way it was.